What's going on, guys? It is an exciting day today. I have right here in my hands the FANGS for the Onewheel XR version 3. Now, I did do a video on the version 2 FANGS. Feel free to watch that one and then come back and see this video on the version 3. That way you may see the difference between the two. Now, one of the key differences between the version 2 FANGS and version 3 FANGS is that the version 3 now includes a bumper. Now on the version 2 FANGS, you actually installed these wheels on the stock bumper of the Onewheel. Unfortunately though, that model ended up covering a little bit of the LED light here on the front of the Onewheel. So I'm excited to install the version 3s on my Onewheel XR because replacing the bumper and the wheels isn't going to cover any of that LED strip at all. And it's supposed to be a better build, and the wheels are actually supposed to do a better job at helping you to not nosedive. So let's get the Onewheel out on the table and let's get to work and get this thing installed. Okay, so we have right here the version 3 FANGS for the Onewheel XR. This is bumper and wheels. Open this up. Oh, ooh, check this out. This is cool. So it's a full bumper. You're not just replacing the wheels now. This is an entire bumper assembly. So it looks like the wheel is going to pop in right here. As you can see, it's not going to cover any of that LED strip. You're replacing that entire stock front bumper on the Onewheel XR, and you're going to replace it with this bumper. And these little honeycomb structures on the back, that's a very strong, durable feature to this. This is designed very well just by looking at that. So let's check this hardware out. Ooh, these wheels look pretty nice. They definitely look thicker, maybe even a little bigger than the stock ones. We'll see. When we take the other ones off, we'll put them side by side for comparison. I'm just gonna put all this back in the bag so I don't lose any of this. All right, so we got some instructions here. Looks pretty self-explanatory. All right, so with the Onewheel XR here on my desk, let's go ahead and dump out all this hardware and let's get to work. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to loosen these screws to remove the stock bumper on the front of the Onewheel. Okay, now that we got these screws all off, we need to take off these wheels from the version 2 kit of the FANGS. Now, as you can see, again, these ones are going to sit much wider on this bumper and they're not going to cover this LED strip. But this is where those holes exist, where these, and as you can see, these holes line up perfectly. Now that I got the wheel off, you can see the screw here behind this housing. The second wheel off, we're going to go ahead and loosen these screws, take off these mounts to officially remove the entire version 2 FANGS. Okay, and remember to keep your hardware separate, and you don't want to mix up the old stuff with the new stuff. Now that we got all those screws off, we need to flip the Onewheel over, and we got to loosen the screws that are here on the top next to the grip tape. You have to remove a number of screws to get that stock bumper off. Now we have these other two screws that are also holding on my fender. So get that up, just carefully tilt it over. Now we have two screws to remove underneath the sensor plate. Once you loosen those, you can now remove the stock bumper. Now I'll just simply fixate the version 3 FANG bumper in place of the original bumper. Now, as I said in my first video, you want to use thread lock on all these screws. These aren't screws that you want to come loose over time. Now you'll get all new screws that I'm replacing here with the kit, so go ahead and just replace the screws. Fixate the sensor plate and the fender back on the top of the Onewheel. Now I'm going to flip the Onewheel back over, and we're simply going to replace these screws on the bottom bumper. And remember to use thread lock once again. Now, comparing these two wheels, the version 3 fangs are definitely larger, which having that larger diameter is going to make the wheels less susceptible to getting stuck on a pebble or rock and make for a smoother ride when your nose actually touches the ground. And simply you're gonna pop in the bearings, put in the center washer, and then pop in the other bearing. And there you go, that's pretty much complete. And then slip the wheel into its housing, slide in the bolt that comes in the hardware baggie, and thread it in. And remember not to do it too tight, the wheel should spin freely. Okay, so now that I have the version 3 fangs on my one wheel rather than the version 2's, I'm gonna head to a parking garage and we're gonna run this thing through the ringer. Now, it's not gonna be any fancy tests, but what I wanna find out is, does it feel more natural? Is it smoother when that nose touches the ground? Because to be perfectly honest, those version 2 fangs, they saved my butt. There was about half a dozen times when my nose would touch the ground and those fangs would touch the asphalt and I wouldn't stop just abruptly and eat crap. But I did slow down a lot faster than I would have liked to, and I still fell and it wasn't pretty. But it wasn't an abrupt stop, and I didn't just fly 15 feet and freaking potentially break my collarbone. The version 2 fangs did save my hiney. However, I'm really curious with that bigger diameter that's on the version 3 fangs, and with the wider stance, now that they were put on a bumper rather than just on the stock bumper, if that's gonna help make for a smoother ride if that nose happens to kiss the asphalt. Is it not gonna slow down so abruptly so I have a chance to recover and lift the nose back up rather than just having to run it out and trip and fall? I'm not sure how it's gonna turn out. I hope it's better. So let's hop in the truck, head to a parking garage, and see how it goes. Okay, now to record this, I got my Ronin RS2 on a tripod using the Raven Eye in active track mode. That's how we're gonna get this footage. Now, in order to really get this nose to rub on the ground, I'm gonna go ahead and go to my settings in the Onewheel app. And I'm gonna go to a custom ride and I'm gonna turn the aggression all the way down to 1. And what that's gonna do is that's going to allow me to force that nose down and really ride it out and not have the wheel just push up so quickly. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I did this the other day and I'm just gonna record a voiceover over it. So with the aggression on 1, I was really able to force that nose down and ride it out quite a bit. I can tell you that the version 3 fangs definitely felt smoother and definitely just carried on with, there wasn't this drastic reduction in speed when the nose would touch the ground. I could almost accelerate. There was a few times where I actually got that nose to drag for quite a while and it felt really smooth. I feel really confident that I'd be able to recover if and when that nose does touch the ground again. Now for a second test at the parking garage, I went to the ramps where it goes from level to level. So then I'd be riding up an incline. It would be a lot easier to drag that nose on the ground for a longer period of time. And especially going up that ramp, those wheels on the version 3 fangs, that slightly bigger diameter made a huge difference. It is definitely a lot smoother when that nose touches the ground, and I have a much better chance of recovering, even more so now. All right, so I feel like the test went really well. I feel very confident that the version 3 fangs are a better product than the version 2's. If you've been on the fence for quite some time now about getting this accessory for your one wheel, I'd highly recommend it. I don't think the version 2's are even around anymore. The version 3 fangs, great product. I highly recommend it. If you have a nosedive before, you know how much it sucks. And I'm sure that if you can do anything you can to plug another variable into that equation to give yourself a fighting chance to recover, but not just completely stop and fly 15 feet and break your collarbone, I would highly recommend getting the FANGS accessory for your Onewheel XR. Like I said, the version 2's had saved my butt about half a dozen times, and I feel like the version 3's are going to be even more capable of doing so. So I'll put a link in the description below to FANGS' website. Check them out, and if you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Have a good one. See ya. If you have nosedived before,